All right, so let's talk about what she didn't say before we got a whole other section on the stuff she said that seemed to directly appeal to Bernie voters, and then the militaristic talk too. But there'll be a lot of talk here about style, a lot of sexist talk about style, but not all the talk about her style is sexist. And obviously, she is not the orator that President Obama is. She's not the orator that her husband is. And in many ways, she's not even the speaker that George W. Bush was, who was terrible, but had a way of connecting.
He was terrible like a whole bunch of other people are. Like, there are people who knew that they would speak the way that George W. Bush did if they ever got in front of a microphone.
And they liked that.
That's my guy.
Right, totally. That's right.
Hillary doesn't speak like anyone. She's very,
she speaks like a cautious lawyer.
She does, and it's
people love cautious lawyers.
Yeah, that's probably the best. That's probably the best way I've heard it put. Is she's very careful and mechanical about the way that she speaks, and even if she's making a good point or trying to be relatable, she's just not, because of the way, often just down to the way she paces out her speech.
And to the guarded lawyer, to the cautious lawyer point, Julie Mason on POTUS radio, who I listen to a lot, she used it to describe Hillary, but it's used to describe Chelsea, but also Hillary, the Clintons in general, just how guarded they are, and so I thought maybe we'd have some lessening of that guarded nature. But we didn't. Do
you think Bill is guarded?
No, he's less so.
The difference is Bill believes that he is a true performer and a rock star.
Right.
So he's like, whatever I say, people are going to love it.
And the accent probably
doesn't
hurt. The accent probably doesn't hurt.
No, he's good.
I almost want to believe anything that comes with that accent.
But he is a good orator. I mean, I thought, but left out of that list, Michelle Obama.
She crushed everyone.
Yeah, she may have literally been the best speaker.
For a girl.
Poor girl.
No, she was fantastic.
Melania is somewhere studying that speech right now.
Yeah, no, she was.
No, I tell you, every single person who's going to run in 2024 is studying that speech, because they're like, dude, Michelle Obama will crush us.
That was phenomenal. That was absolutely phenomenal.
And we'll have to see whether prior to 2024, Michelle Obama runs for some other office.
Yes.
I hope she
Although I get the feeling it's legitimate. She's hated the last 8 years in the
No,
spotlight.
she's like, I'm sick of this shit.
I got no interest in this.
She probably
Let's just go be
resents it
millionaires.
too. I imagine she's had to deal with that like during the most formative years of her kid's life. She probably definitely resents it, I'm sure.
But that moment, so she had that one moment that I thought might lead to something and then didn't, because of what we're talking about, that guarded nature that she has, when she said, I've spent my life in public service. I get this, I'm paraphrasing, I get the service part, I've struggled with the public part.
I thought that was great.
But then it died. And then there was not any sort of genuine, authentic follow-up to that. And I get that, I was looking for Bill to say, Hillary sticks with things. I'm evidence of that. Like,
Yeah. No. I think he could have sold that.
I thought that he could have sold that,
Absolutely.
If anyone could have.
No, he could have sold that in the room.
And Chelsea too, like, she chose, you don't know what it's like. Look, I get it, because the next day it's all anybody would talk about. Sure. So I think that argument probably ended up winning the day. But to hear Chelsea say something like, you don't know what it's like to have people running up to you in the street telling you that your mom should leave your dad, right? That nobody does that to anyone else in the world, right? But my mom, I thought my mom kept our family together, and it's been great, and we're all better for it now. I get it. That would have literally eclipsed every other thing that happened, so maybe you can't do it. But there were moments there right after she said that about the better at the service part than the public part that I thought, oh, here we go. This is going to be revealing. But then it turned into, I get that some of you don't quite know what to do with me. Yeah. And I'm like, no, we hate you. Like, it's not that we're not indecisive, right? So I just would have liked, and I mean we, millions of Americans, we all see the numbers. So I don't think there was the guardedness came in, the cautious lawyer came in, and that was it. It was like this brief little perhaps window that then came right back down.
She's not a performer, man.
No,
she's not a performer.
And I was going to say, do you think that maybe that had to do with the fact that she knew that room was probably even still on that day of the convention divided, and she didn't want to go too far into why people aren't necessarily rallying. Some people aren't rallying around her. I think she probably wanted to touch on it and get off of it very quickly, because I like you said, she's not her husband, she's not Obama. I don't think she would have been able to get out of that. If she got into that hole too deep, I don't think she would have been able to get out of that in front of that convention.
And also, let's remember, this is almost the #1 thing she's been accused of and written about in the press for 15, 16 years, is that she's not charismatic. She's not like, ebullient like her husband is. I mean, she can't get beyond it.
One of the things I think is interesting about her, though, and I forget where I read this. It's not an original thought, but they were basically pointing out that she's always popular when she's doing the job. Prior to getting into the job, she's never popular. But when she does the job, she's popular. I think that's what she's good at. I think she's just good at the work. She's not good at the PR part.
That happened in the Senate, and that happened as Secretary of State.
Yeah,
too.
she's not good at the PR part, but if she just gets in there and gets to do the work, people like the job she does.
Her staff says that their whole goal is, I mean, obviously their whole goal is to get her to win, but their thought is then she gets to be president. And I don't think anybody first of all, if you hate her as a candidate, you have to acknowledge there's a good chance she's going to be far better at being president than running. She's obviously going to be better at being president than running for president, because she's clearly not good at running for president. And it's messed up that we put so much emphasis on.
I think the disconnect and the distrust is based on what she says versus what we think she'll do once she's in office.
Totally.
But if she actually tries to enact a lot of what she says she wants to, I think she probably has a better chance than anyone we've ever put in the office to do it.
Well, in terms of qualifications and knowing where the bodies are buried in Washington and how to get things done.
And how to play the game
right.
and run circles around people and trap them and fix things and rig things in her favor. I mean...
I'm sorry, John. I was just going to say that I don't think we can underestimate how effective the goring of Clinton has been, both on the part of the right and media that's associated with the right, and also by the Bernie Sanders contingent. And again, I know I think I was part of it. I mean, I felt that Bernie was the purer heart in this election. But having said that, that was real blood that was shed during that entire process. So she's been savaged, as you suggest, for 15
for quite a
years
while.
now.
Quite a while.
But beyond that, I think during this election cycle, she's been bleeding out a lot. So it's very tough to fix all those wounds, I think, in one night or in one convention. She's got a lot that has to be
You can't fix
prepared.
them. You just want to fix. Everything is degrees. You want to fix it enough. I mean, of course, the Bernie Sanders people, myself included, Mark included, Wes included. I don't know about you, Jonathan, but
I always liked him a lot. I just never thought that he was going to be the nominee, so I didn't want to waste my time. But I thought he was fantastic. Really, I'm sort of like a realist
right
on
now,
that front.
Twitter.
Yeah.
No, and
time, waste my time.
just for the record,
political
you're
process, asshole.
You're done.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I just lost the entire TYT audience. No, he's phenomenal. When I was on before, I pointed out he has a great civil rights record. He's fantastic. I just was always sort of a political realist, and I'm like, his campaign was always a long shot. So I was like, okay, look, I'm not wild about Hillary either, but I just want to get behind this horse and get it ready for the race.
I'll tell you what, though,
And
in
I
that
think
spirit,
he set the stage for the next election and the next progressive
He did.
which I hope is Tulsi Gabbard.
My only concern is that I think he did what sometimes was happening on the right, is they forgot that one of them is going to be the nominee, and you don't want to damage the person that's going to be the nominee beyond repair, because then they can't compete very well. And that was kind of something I think both sides did.
It happens in every election.
It happens in every election.
Hillary did it to Obama before in 2008, but she was smart enough not to do it to Sanders this time.
Well, yeah, and that dispute was different. That was personality based, no question, and that was the disagreements between them were passionate, and the split in the electorate was real. But this was policy related mostly, and therefore I think clearly, as we've just seen, harder to bridge. Of course, much of the criticism of Hillary Clinton is totally warranted. It's just at the point, and we all part company with many people watching, as to when that became illegitimate criticism
And excessive.
and
That's at a
right
certain point.
and excessive.